Hello, everyone, and welcome to our Global Industry Spotlight. My name is Daniel Crane, and I am the program director for the Creative Entrepreneurship. Every Thursday, we talk with different organizations, businesses, and entrepreneurs who are, building new things, new technologies, or have new ideas or new models that they're presenting to kind of help the creative industries move forward. Um, just a kind of quick update about what's happening at CCE. We're really excited for our second Club Creative event happening next Tuesday. We teamed up with Mezca Collective, which is a film collective that's focused on BIPOC and women filmmakers. And we're presenting Latinx women in film. It's going to be a fantastic event that we're going to show virtually. So please go check it out. Go to our website at cceglobal.org, click on events. You can find out more information. Again, that is next Tuesday at 7 p.m. and we'll be live on YouTube. And if you go to our website and click on events, you can see all of the different workshops, resources that we have happening for you on a weekly basis. But let's get to business. So I've had a really great run of talking to different entrepreneurs in the creative industries on an international level. Jonas and I had a wonderful conversation about a week ago or 2 weeks ago. Who knows what time is? But I think it's a week ago. And he's building a lot of really interesting things for music tech. He has a lot of experience in producing records. He owns his own and founded his own marketing company that supports talent, and he has a lot of new ideas of how to push the music industry and music production forward. So let's bring him into the conversation and get it started. Hi, Jonas, how are you?
Hey, I'm pretty good.
Good. Well, so I think just to kind of give everyone a little background on you, can you talk about how your career in music began and then how it's kind of morphed into what it is right now?
Um, I did, well, the beginning, I was a teenager and I fell in love with music and played with punk bands. And then I started to buy, by the time I started to buy some drum machines, in my teenagers, it was the end of the 90s and I just got into music. Really quickly came along Logic. We just spoke about like Logic 4.7 was the first version I used, and kind of took off there. Learned all the other tricks of every other Pro Tools. Then Ableton came, pretty sure around 2000s. It was really exciting. Kind of coming from, that's how it all started for me, but basically through punk rock and electronic music kind of combined together. And that's what basically drove it to here. And
Yeah. So
since then, yeah, sorry, go ahead.
yeah, well, I think it's interesting too because and you and I have had this. We talked about this. And you start with punk rock, you start with electronic music, and now moving forward, you produced records and you did a lot of work. But
Mhm.
now you're building a new music technology, and
Yeah.
two, you've also developed, and I'd like to talk about both of these things.
Mhm.
I loved your ideas of how to properly for musicians who are coming up, managing talent. But I
Yeah.
think the first thing that let's talk about is let's talk a little bit about what you're building for the AI.
Yes. So coming out of starting to work with these kind of softwares already early on, 20 years ago now, if you think about it. So then I basically started my career as a producer as young. So I've done hundreds and hundreds of releases, and then kind of got to knowledge technology at the same time. And there was always oh my God, I wish I would have this kind of a tool. And then there would come something up, or you wish some kind of things. And now with the technology we have available to us, we kind of found a really simple solution to use machine learning technology to power some instruments like a bass player, and which is kind of easy monophonic thing to produce, but we've been really excited about that. And the idea comes from this, as from the community of music producers. So I've done music for pop and really experimental. And in the old world, if you think about it, the merit where music is about sound. But if we bring, a lot of people are scared of machine learning, like musicians or like machines taking humans' jobs away or talents even now. I think it's exciting because we've seen that before happen with drum machines and synthesizers in the 70s. And then what they did actually was create a new genre of music, like the 808 or the 909. So it has a kind of similar, I think, approach us to development. It's like you can completely twist it around and make it do something a human couldn't do.
Right.
It's a philosophy kind of approach.
That's interesting. So, and you're thinking about, so AI may create a new genre for us.
Well, I would approach that question philosophically. What is the AI? Like, is it a closed, you make an algorithm, you start to feed it, so it's controlled machine learning? Or do you, let the machine learn access the internet and therefore kind of understand that and suck in the information out of that? So I think in two different ways of using it. So yeah, it's very philosophical. Like what is an AI? It's not like a connected network of one thinker. It's more of different algorithms that are just kind of live and working with the times, with you constantly, when the music, whatever you feed it, basically. So that's kind of exciting.
Yeah.
And then sorry, go ahead.
Oh yeah, no, I was gonna ask about the actual process of the technology that that creates this thing that you're building.
So do you want to hit so basically the idea is that you have a song, or you just have a song that you analyze. So maybe you're in a situation that you've already made a song and you don't have a bass line, or you need a bass line. Then it basically analyzes the songs, sends it to a cloud, and comes back in a couple of seconds. The genre and the moods, or basically two different paragraphs. We say maybe styles and moods. And those are the parameters you work with. And then the output is random in a sense of like live, and you capture it while it's playing through MIDI. So then you can then use that. For example, you can route it to another MIDI instrument, external MIDI instruments, or we have this specific sets of sounds that it's easy maybe to play around with first to understand, which is then connected with the moods and styles maybe. But another way we were thinking is using any song in the world to be analyzed and inspired. So that's going to be a really interesting feature. So you can basically tap in any song you want to hear, and you're going to get inspired by that, and it'll read the same information and then output. It's simple as that.
And because yeah, I mean, it's fascinating, and this is, you're focused on bass playing, but the idea is that maybe this could expand into other instruments as well.
Exactly. So we have a series of tools that we're building, therefore this being the first one, the bass player. It's simple and maybe something you use, and could be a great approach. So of course we are going to have another product lined up for next spring, is hopefully a a riff maker and a top liner. And then we're really putting a lot of emphasis on the polyphonic composer type of plugin that would be kind of a keyboard player, but also basically a composition tool more that is based on the same machine learning. Mm-hmm. Which is going to be more hard and pretty rare. That's going to be something. So we're basically building this MVP for now until February. We'll have all the data we need for that, marketing, testing, piloting, and then we're going to start to pitch and get investments for the 4 more pieces. Right. And especially the polyphonic one, which is going to be probably ready in a year's time.
That's amazing.
Well, yeah, it's way more complicated. but it's that's exciting. It's possible. We have a suggestion system already, which is really nice. And it's all you can read the score. It's just score. It's written for hundreds of years, music. So it is not that hard of a mathematic equation, but the feeling is always the thing, I think. And then also the parametrics of hey, twist, getting inspired like sidechain is an interesting feature we're going to have, which it obviously makes you almost already groove with somebody. So if we have, for example, a live mode, this is one of the future developments. So every time you can side set to your kicks or your drummer, you always, when you kick, the bass hammer comes with you and play and the guitar is going. And you can also learn, if you play it once, the song, it'll follow.
Yeah, it's funny because in one of the groups I've been playing in, we've been trying to find bass players to kind of play under our tracks.
You want to replace it? Yeah, you can make it. We can make it.
Actually, once it's up
and running,
has his tools,
you can test them.
Yeah, for me too, it's like bass lines for songs they're so important, even though you may not hear it. It may not be front and center. Like it is for a lot of songs. It is the song, like the bass line, right? Obviously, especially if you're going to like Motown and stuff like that, these are like iconic bass lines. But even in any kind of rock music, it's
definitely it's a strong part, especially making groovy and stuff like that. And I think I love bass lines, so it's a nice approach towards the first kind of instrumental.
Right. So this tool is built, and basically, is the hope that everybody will be able to kind of be a producer, right? Because now they don't necessarily need to learn how to play music or learn, chords and harmonies and melody and all that kind of stuff, or do you see it more as like a supplemental tool for already existing producers to kind of, add to their package?
Well, I think basically with our our tools and a buyout, or like a long-term idea, is to generate some kind of music making tool with using the same data analytics and have like a fun tool for kids, or making videos for themselves, and having some soundtracks, or rehearsing, or making songs, whatever you want to use it, or also kind of research ideas to just use everything wrong, like do what nobody else does, see what happens.
Right. Yeah. Like new technology in the hands of humans. We get creative.
And then obviously our kind of major prime target group right now is all music makers, producers in every genre. They work in the DAW, so that kind of, we're going there first. So the first models are not maybe for an app kind of design yet, or in a sense of being more of kind of a professional tool still, but that's a growing market. In the last couple of years, crazy how much like people buy software. So we're actually excited to hit that market, which is really cool. So there's a lot of music content being created, and it's just kind of a helpful tool.
Yeah. Well, I definitely want to say, we're wishing you the best on the launch of that, and it's going to be, really incredible. I can't wait to check it out.
It's an
So I
exciting
wanted
thing because we could talk about it for hours because there's always something new to figure out. What if?
Right.
And it all goes into the data. We're inputting it constantly. So.
Yeah. So shifting away from the AI tool, I wanted to talk a little bit about the marketing company. So is it IKI or just IKI, or it's IKI?
Yes.
How do you, okay.
IKI,
So
we say.
IKI. Okay. So when we talked last, I appreciated you had some ideas about automation and how to build really helpful tools for have success. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. So basically, the idea comes out of the strategy, how we build career development in our company, IKI Marketing. So we do talent development. It's kind of a fine management term. So you can buy services or consulting, and we usually put it, make a brainstorm session, a plan, and we say 1 year, this much it's going to cost, or 1.5 years, or 36 months, whatever is the target. And it can be like getting to a show, or it can be getting from nothing to a festival slot or a first radio play. So we started to think, well, we could automate so many parts of this process as a management company or talent developers. Like, is it marketing, which parts and stuff in music? So I started to break it down, and we started to collecting data and doing these campaigns. And what we realized, it's usually about every project is very different. So you can't really follow the same model ever. Like, do PR here, do radio here, do this there. And like a lot of campaigns in the old school world did work like that. But because it's so, the medias are so spread, influences have changed. So it's easier to just, you can't just basically copy the same plan every time. So therefore you could basically say, I have this month of money, 3,000 euros or dollars. And, I have 6 months and I'm going to reach 1 million followers or plays. And then you could start to basically a talent development tool, which is automated, could basically calculate what genre. You have to input a lot of data, which is defining your presence, a lot of APIs to different platforms like Facebook, Instagram, and Spotify, and getting that data. So it starts to follow your genres, suggest you playlists, suggest you different third-party things. If you want to increase your playlists, these are the service providers. This many people have in this genre, these lists, and etc. So you can point out milestones really easily on a web browser, and then it calculates constantly how much you can spend that, for example, on target marketing and on press, or what would be the press highlights that you'd get in that genre that sounds a little bit like this and this. And again, using audio clips and the input data of the client or whoever. And then you could basically scale all kinds of campaigns. So you can just make points, always one progress point, suggestion, and follow the path. And you could change the path almost like an Excel. Let's change these numbers here. Maybe it'll help the path because this is working, this isn't working. Kind of. So then you economically basically produce a campaign that would have the most benefits. So which is basically you do. So you can implement that into a career of an upcoming or an already established, because it could suck all the data from the internet about that, specific project.
Yeah, my wife wears a T-shirt that says "Data is greater than opinion," and you know,
Well,
and I think about that, right? It's like you can think
everything
that,
is data. If you think about,
yeah,
that's how I think. Like I'm sucking it with my eyes data in. I see that's also data. I'm just inputting it somewhere else at some
right,
point. So
yeah,
it's just
yeah.
reality, I
So
guess.
yeah,
I
so
don't know what it is.
right. Well, I mean, well, but I like the idea of we're because a lot of people will pay $3,000 to a publicist, who
Hmm.
might get them a couple of you know some good reviews and maybe a show, but the fact that you're really talking about um we building a campaign that is based upon you know data
Budget.
that you are
Hmm.
looking at and seeing and customizing that to the model to what is actually already existing, I think
Hmm.
is great, and important because I mean, I played in a lot of bands and
Well,
uh you
people
know
have this assumption that music, they don't understand. And that way you can basically, oh, that's how much income there comes. And then you can input events and, all kinds of sorts of different, it really expands into so many different sheds all the time, the possibilities and suggestions it does. It's really, that's why we now need a lot of campaigns to basically input the data. But it's pretty much there just to step how to like do something, which is the idea is that it would suggest all kind. If you're starting up do you think about all this kind of showcase festivals? Their submitting time is now. It's 2 weeks from now. Submit. Do you have that? You're thinking about making a video. This is where in Fiverr or somewhere else people are doing it this for this cheap, or what's your budget? You could fit in. You need to do marketing. Here's content, etc.,
mm,
etc., etc. So it's
right.
a lot of it's a multi. And I want it to be used online only, if possible, in the browser, and kind of not as a standalone app. But I don't know if that's the best UX yet. But that's the kind of idea, the best, at least the starting point. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and the fact that the user will, or the client will have access to view everything and see what's happening, I think is also really important.
Yeah, just to
That
follow your
transparent,
plan. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
that transparency
Transparent.
helps, improve the relationships for sure.
Mhm. And you
Um,
see in your own eyes, kind of, oh, that didn't work, but that does work.
right, right.
And sometimes surprise happens, or some you can just make a really good product and make a really good plan, and you just hit everybody who likes that thing. And it's basically what the tools are out there, kind of lurking. All that data is swimming in the sea of the internet. We just can tap into it in one source, kind of use it for
Hmm.
advantage.
Right, right. Well, I'm grateful that you and I are connected. I appreciate learning about the tool that you're building with the bass player, and also hearing about different ideas of how to move the industry forward. How to give products to musicians and producers that can
Mhm.
help them be successful. And also, I love the idea of, new technology in the hands of, humans and kind of seeing how they interact with it and how they, create, new sounds, and new ideas. So I want to, thank you for coming on with us today. I know
Mhm.
it's afternoon there, later, early
No,
evening.
early
What
evening,
time is it?
yeah.
It's yeah.
6:30, 6:25.
Yeah, yeah. So again, thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us today. We definitely will stay in touch. And thanks again.
Thanks. Thank you very much for your 20 minutes.
Great. Well, there you have it, everyone. That was Jonas Verwijnen, from Finland, musician, producer, engineer, concept developer. He's building, kind of new tools for a new generation of, industry, tech tools for producers, and then thinking about how do we collect data for musicians to have success, with touring, with growing their careers. Really a lot of interesting stuff. I'm going to just put in here below. Here is the marketing company that he founded and is a part of. Um, if you're interested in getting in touch with him, you can contact me, and I will definitely link up with Jonas. Again, my name is Daniel Crane. I am the program director for the Center for Creative Entrepreneurship. We work on building and helping entrepreneurs have success in their industries. The global industry spotlights are, we've really been learning about the industry in different countries, talking to people from France, from Finland, Iceland, and it's been really helpful for me to learn about what the industry looks like and what are the things that are happening in those countries. Again, I wish everyone a wonderful rest of their day. Take care, and we will see you next week. All right, everyone, take care.